President Abraham Lincoln once said, "We shall nobly save or meanly lose the last best hope of earth." This last best hope Lincoln referred to is the one thing he spent his entire presidency trying to preserve: the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the United States of America. From its very beginnings, the American experiment was exceptional in its pursuit of liberty and the protection of our inalienable rights. This experiment of ours, though, is much more unique than you might imagine. Our Constitution is not only the longest-lasting codified Constitution in the world, but was also an extremely forward-looking piece of enlightened legislation. If America's creation is so exceptional, then why, you may ask? And that's a fair question. What makes America so unique? Our answers lie not only in the American Revolution, but in the well-known revolutions of two other world powers, France and Russia. What separates the American Revolution, which created the world's longest-lasting republic, from the French Revolution, which was a disastrous failure, ending in a dictatorship and the restoration of their monarchy, and then the Russian Revolution, which would ultimately end in a failed communist state that would drive its citizens not only into poverty but also starvation? American ideals. The founders of our country, Madison, Jefferson, Adams, Hamilton, Franklin, they all valued one thing above all: liberty. The French revolutionaries placed too much emphasis on general will, and the Russians on the forced equity of Marxism. While our founders created the only constitution that would fully prohibit the Congress from limiting our God-given right to freedom of speech, the French revolutionary government would prohibit God, found a new state religion, and begin a reign of terror out of extreme paranoia. And the Bolsheviks in Russia would silence anyone who opposed them and would resort to harsh authoritarian rule to ensure this. Ultimately, what this extreme contrast illustrates is the extreme difference between the enlightened, religious, liberal revolution that we had here in this country and the enlightened, anti-religious, leftist revolutions in France and Russia. Out of the three, only America would go on to become home to 48.2 million foreign-born immigrants. That's more than any other nation. Only America would protect the rights of its inhabitants to speak their minds and then to protect themselves with the equivalent force to those who would do them harm. And only America would go to the moon. The USA has been here for 244 years, and the world's greatest country isn't going anywhere anytime soon, especially when your only competition is France, who is still working on their fifth republic, and Russia, who can barely even get their first working.